Hello, my name is Uzma A. I'm making this video roughly 3 days before it will be publicly shared. I have, of my own free accord, elected to explain to you the procedure colloquially known as severance. I give Lumon Industries consent for my innie's likeness to be digitally distributed. If you are unaware, the severance procedure separates a Lumon employee's memories between their work and personal life, such that their memories are spatially dictated. This is true for me, as I've undergone the severance procedure and am thereby unable to access outside recollections whilst on Lumon's severed basement floor, nor retain work memories upon my ascent. This alteration is comprehensive and irreversible. I make these statements freely.
Disclaimer! All science presented in this video is real with sources linked in the description. My character of Uzma A, a severed scientist working at Lumon, will present the data as though it exists in the Severance universe, because I thought that would be fun.
Hi, welcome to the severed floor. I brought you guys into one of our conference rooms because I knew that this audience was going to be quite large. Hopefully we could fit everybody in here. I actually thought of making this video a moment after the MDR uprising so as to demystify the whole severance procedure to the public, so I brought it up with management. They conducted some cursory research that went into the history of creating the severance procedure at Lumon Industries, and they originally dismissed it because it led to a bunch of duds, but I knew that if I was allowed access to the scientific database, I would be able to create a lovely informational video for you. So I tapped into the frolic energy that Cure knows is within all of us, and now I can bring this video to you. So let's begin. Nascent research into the possibility turned reality of the severance procedure began with split brain patients. Split between the left and right hemispheres of the brain, these individuals typically suffered from epilepsy, and a surgery such as this separating the left and right hemispheres from each other would mitigate their symptoms. Now, the effects of the surgery are nowhere near close to the final severance procedure, but it was the first field that Lumon scientists decided to explore because there was some weird activity that happened in these split brain patients. You know what this was, is there was a bit of conflict between the right and left hemispheres when these patients had the connection between them, well, severed. Corpus callosum is the tissue of fibers connecting the right and left hemispheres of your brain. They allow for communication in between the two, but once that connection is cut, we start to see schismatically divided behavior. One standout researcher in this field, Dr. Michael Gazzaniga, conducted a demonstration that we'll show for you right now. A split brain patient sits in front of the screen and is told to stare at the cross in the center of the screen. Anything flashing to the right of the cross only goes to his left hemisphere, seeing as visual information decussates from one eye to the other side of the brain, like this, diagonally, like so. Of course, the inverse is true. Anything to the left goes to the right hemisphere. Curious thing is that when the patient was told to draw what's on screen, this happens. Because the two hemispheres don't communicate, each hand draws only what its half of the brain sees. There are a few other ways this division manifests in behavior, and if you're interested in reading more, I recommend this Nature article. All resources should be linked in the description below. While this was the origin of Lumon's piqued interest, dividing the hemispheres wouldn't actually be a practical method to having severed employees. Dysfunctional behavior, like in the demonstration that we observed, is not ideal, and it does not get at the full root of the problem anyway because it does not separate the work self from personal. And that's when scientists' attention grabbed hold of patients with DID, or dissociative identity disorder, colloquially known as multiple personality disorder. The interesting thing about DID is that it is often considered as a kind of degenerated version of PTSD, emerging after an individual has undergone a severe traumatic event so as to temper the body's stress response. As we'd agree, it's necessary that everyone, including Lumon employees, must have our tempers balanced. So the new personality that develops helps the original one cope with stress better. Doesn't that sound a little bit familiar? In the first few case studies, scientists found that the split personalities that develop don't often completely distance themselves from the original. Take Diana, which is a pseudonym given to protect her identity. When she spoke to her therapist about the trauma she experienced in childhood, she felt as though she were an observer within her body watching someone else for her. Most patients with DID do experience this kind of depersonalization, but there are cases that they actually experience complete amnesia when the other personality is out front and they are laying behind. This was the model that Lumon chose to pursue. We decided to look into their brain activity, and when patients with DID would enter into this depersonalized state, which scientists induced by asking to elaborate on their traumatic event, we see that these DID patients' amygdala is highly inhibited by the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. Now, the amygdala mediates emotion. So the fact that it is getting shut down more often by the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, or the VMPFC, means that we understand what the mechanism is for sending these DID patients into their numb state. Excuse me. When Lumon then went to conduct further studies on DID patients, what they found was that they seemed to have less matter in not only the amygdala, but also the hippocampus, which is the part of the brain that regulates our memory formation. If our goal is to mimic a DID patient and create two separate personalities, one for work and one for the self, this was the area that we needed to target, the amygdala and the hippocampus. And that's exactly what happened when we were designing the chip. If we cannot make the brain matter smaller, then what we can do is induce a chip that actively turns on or off these certain parts of the brain just a little bit so that we can create this division in the self. When the employee is working at Lumon, the chip is turned on, but when the employee is not and goes home, then it is turned off. And full brain functions remain intact. And that is exactly what they decided to do. The chip is implanted near the amygdala, which is surrounded by the hippocampus, so kind of in that general area, and there we go. That's exactly what happens. Personalities alter between one or the other when clocking in or out.
It's on? Hi. I don't know how much time I have seeing as this is a live premiere, but I'm Uzma. I'm Uzma Ali. I'm the Audi. Don't fall for Lumon propaganda. Reintegration from the severance procedure is possible. It is possible to undo the severance procedure. I was speaking with Dr. Agabi and she showed me a way to realign the waves between the two because they have the waves are out of synchronicity. The innie's waves specifically have different waves for beta 2 and theta frequencies, but if we can just bring them back. Okay, I'm so sorry. I have to break the fourth wall. For the sake of accuracy, I had to smash that fourth wall, so apologies about that. Basically, I don't know how much of this is true. But going back all the way to what I was saying about the chip and the amygdala and the hippocampus stuff, I tried to find a reason for how they would be able to actually conduct the severance procedure by looking into DID patients because I feel like that's the closest link that we've got there. But I don't know how much of it is actually feasible. It is possible to turn on and off certain parts of the brain with an optogenetic procedure. I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but if you don't, I'm gonna tell you about it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Certain parts of the brain are transfused with light-sensitive proteins so that when you turn on and off a light, you can effectively turn on and off that part of the brain if you shine it in that area, which is very interesting, right? I can show you some examples. This is an example that I was shown in class. There was like this rat or mouse or something like that. They did an optogenetic experiment on him. They were trying to control the part of the brain that regulates eating behavior, so I'm assuming that's probably the hypothalamus they did that there, just using my base level bachelor's degree knowledge. And as you can see, when they turn the light on, they go and eat. And then when the lights turned off, they stop eating. So yeah, I did have this question for a while though, and I did do some cursory research, was supposed to be represented by me taking it to management and them doing cursory research. I don't think that was very good. But it wasn't until I was reading my most recent book, The Drawing of the Three, which is the second book of the Dark Tower series. There's this one character that has DID, and she has complete amnesia when she switches from one, like, character to the other, and I was like, that's it! That's it. Why didn't I think about that? That's the closest link we've got to real life science. Then again, the DID doesn't really explain having all of the memory wiped for up until the point of working at Lumon. So I really don't know how they could possibly do it. I know that this is science fiction. I'm not supposed to be taking it that seriously, but I wanted to answer I wanted to see. Okay, I'm sorry. And then when it comes to the whole thing in the severance world of like memories being spatially organized, I don't even think that's how it actually works in the show. They may say that, but it's not because we watched the season 1 finale. Both of you and I watched the season 1 finale. You know what I'm saying? Like they can bring out the personality at will when they need. But if a chip were able to actively suppress amygdala or hippocampal activity, then they wouldn't be able to be like regular emotional human beings, and they probably wouldn't be able to remember their stuff that they do at work. What, right? Dude, I don't know. That is true for DID patients that they do have less amygdala and hippocampal volume. I don't know if you can induce that into someone. If I could have someone more educated in here, please chime in. They won't have the answers either. Can we communicate from here? Is that okay? I don't want to hold you anymore. But when it comes to reintegration, and I'm gonna look at my notes, was looking into the treatment for DID, and I remember there's actually learned about it, or read about it first in The Body Keeps the Score. If any of you guys read that, it became popular on TikTok a while ago, which is crazy. Why is that book popular on TikTok? I don't know. But one treatment for DID patients is EMDR. I know it sounds like, oh, EMDR. I tried to look for a connection between the two. I don't think I can find one. EMDR is eye movement desensitization and and reprocessing. It's a kind of controversial procedure for people right now. I don't know, because it seems to be some kind of like pseudoscience, but whatever. I'll tell you how it goes. Basically, a therapist has you follow like fingers with your eyes while discussing traumatic events and eventually reframing the conversation so that it's not so scary anymore and you can reintegrate that trauma into your life. You can reintegrate that trauma into your life. It is actually shown to be very effective. Like, it works. And I thought that the way Dr. Ragabi was asking Mark questions in the season 2 episode 3 when Mark underwent reintegration, I thought that it was a little bit similar. It was kind of like a shortened version of the communication that is so important in the procedure of EMDR. But what she was doing in that episode, like realigning the brain waves together, I did look up data and I did find that like DID personalities, the different personalities do have slightly different brainwave patterns, but I don't know about this whole instrument that she was using to put them back together. I don't know, guys. The whole severance procedure, would it work? Really fun to think about, but the answer is I don't know. Sorry if that's disappointing. The answer is I don't know.
Sorry, we just experienced some technical difficulties. But seeing as I was just about to be wrapped up with this video, I am thanking you guys for watching this informational video on the severance procedure. I hope that it was able to demystify a little bit of the process and give you a little bit more information about how brilliant this procedure is here at what we do in Lumon Industries. I hope you all have a wonderful day and praise Kier.
Hi, beautiful subscribers. I just wanted to talk to you normally outside of the Severance realm. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for still watching my videos, even though I haven't put up a neuroscience video in a while. And this one, I don't even know if it's going to be accessible to everyone because I don't know if everybody's watching Severance, even though they should be. For some reason, I've been struggling really hard coming up with neuroscience videos and researching, scripting, formatting, and everything like that because it takes like so much energy. But like, I kind of realized that I was putting a lot of pressure on myself for some reason and still associating neuroscience with like school and academia, even though it doesn't have to be that. It is that, but the beauty of it is that it could also be so many other things. I realized that literally everything is neuroscience. And what I mean by that is not everything, but like everything perceivable is neuroscience. Because it's all viewed through my brain. Like, my whole life experiences are translated through my brain, so literally everything could be a source of inspiration for me here, and I'm just, I don't know. I just want to, like, stop trying to take it so seriously. For some reason, I'm thinking, like, I have to make this, like, a school project. It has to be serious and blah, 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 blah. But no, it doesn't. Like, this video was so much fun to make, and it really, I don't know, like, I was able to stretch my creativity with it, even though it's like within the confines of the Severance universe, kind of more like imitation than creation, but whatever. So I'm just gonna let you guys know that I'm gonna start having more fun with my neuroscience videos, and I feel like that's when you'll start seeing like the two different types of my content blend together. I hope. That's what I'm trying to do. I know it's taken a lot of trial and error to figure out what exactly I want to make with my channel, but I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there. Yeah! I don't know. Mwah. Thank you all for being such amazing people. Getting a lot of followers on TikTok recently, YouTube, and it makes me feel very happy to like reconnect with a brand new audience of people, and even my old audience. It makes me feel very nice. So, mwah. I love you. Thank you. Mwah.